One of my favorite jokes with my kids, it's an old classic. It's why did the chicken cross the road? Because. Now, hopefully we've got everyone's attention for the next 7 minutes. One of the big bugbears for me is when somebody gets to present to an audience, all they do is they start giving out stats and figures and numbers. And they'll say things like, did you know there are 70 million people here in the UK? And they're expecting a reaction from you, the audience. But what happens? Nothing. You're sitting there, you're bored. So the presenter will come with another amazing stat, because that's what they know best. And they'll say, did you know that every year 5% of people in the UK have their identity stolen? And it's bubbling up inside the presenter. They're waiting for the oohs and the ahs for the audience. And what happens? Nothing. It's 5%. You don't care. You're looking around and going, it's him, it's her. It's nothing got to do with you. So the presenter's in a bit of a pickle. How am I going to connect with this audience? How am I going to make them feel that this is relatable to them? So what do they know? Stats and figures. I don't understand it. I don't know why they do it. But they'll say something like, well, if I take that data of every year over 10 years, that means that 60 to 70% of this audience has their identity stolen. When I get to present, I'll never talk about stats. I'll never talk about figures. I'll never tell you that 60, 70% of you have had your identity stolen. It's not the way I go. But it's quite an interesting stat, and it's very relevant to everyone that's sitting here. You can no longer say it's her or it's him, because it's actually you. Is there anyone here brave enough to put their hand up to tell me that they've had their identity stolen? Not a single one. Surprise, surprise. There are 3 reasons that no hands went up. The first reason is because you potentially think that I'm lying or not telling the truth. So my answer to that is, check Google. You're potentially embarrassed because your identity was stolen. It's not something you want to stand up and tell the world that you've had your identity stolen. I can understand that. But the most shocking one is, you probably don't even realize yet that your identity has actually been stolen. So let me ask a different question. I want to get a reaction from the audience. I want to get everybody's hands up. So I'm going to take away that shame. I'm going to take away the potential lies. Could you please put your hands up for those of you that go to bed at night to sleep? Here we go. Everyone's hands are up. Super. Now, my staff give out to me for asking too many questions. Colin, will you stop asking questions? So I'm going to ask one final question. How many of you here would be happy going to bed at night knowing that the front key is in the door, the back key is in the door, and all your windows are wide open? Show of hands. 1 or 2. You've either had your identity stolen or you live very remote. You've told me one very important thing. You care about privacy and security for you and your family. And that's a big, big statement. Anyone see Tony Blair last week talking about the new digital ID in the UK? Mr. Blair reckons that the UK, the people who have told me you care about privacy and security, are willing to give up privacy and security for what? Efficiency. Now, you're telling me something very different. I am conscious I've not even introduced myself yet. My name is Colin Lyons. I'm the CEO and founder of IDPal. IDPal is an identity verification company. We're 9 years old. We're the original SaaS ID&V player. We've over 400 heavy regulated financial services industry using us across the globe. Everything from tier 1 banks all the way right down. Our biggest markets are here in the UK and the United States. So let me touch on efficiency. Beside me, we have Mark O'Hara. Mark is based in our London office here. And Mark is going to give us a quick demonstration of the IDPal product, one of many flows that you can build within the SaaS platform. Mark is going to capture a driver's license or a passport. He's going to do facial recognition, facial matching. It's all very similar to stuff that you've probably seen in the past. But behind the scenes, we're actually checking Mark against all AML screening, PEPs, sanctions, adverse media. I don't trust Mark, so I'm putting him into ongoing monitoring. I'm going to test him every 3 months to see exactly if he's on any lists. I also want to know where Mark lives. So we're going to check him against credit databases, electoral rolls, local telcos, to know where Mark lives, his name, his address, his date of birth. And of course, our good friend, Mr. Head, who's standing beside me. We need to check against deep fakes. We need to check against generative AI, which is 90% of the fraud that's happening today. We need to check for injection attacks. We need to make sure it's not a jailbroken phone. All of these things have happened in the 30 seconds that Mark has verified his identity. If you're telling me that that's not efficiency, we have another problem. So let me talk a little bit about security and privacy. In the IDPAL world, we don't break security and privacy away from efficiency. We believe that they're contained together. A lot of people are potentially familiar with our market and understand there are a lot of IDV players out there. So if you want to take a similarity for us, we've all built an infrastructure. I call it a housing estate. We built the roads, we built the footpaths, we built the lights and the refuse. So if you become a customer of IDPAL, you buy a house from us. We give you the keys, you lock your door, safe, secure at night. You go to one of our competitors, similar infrastructure, you buy a house, they give you the keys. But the difference is they take a set of keys for themselves. They also take a set of keys for that offshore team that they have manually verifying documents. It's a completely different solution. Why do we look at the privacy and security of our own personal and family at night that we do not want to leave the keys in the door? But yet, our biggest thing, identity, we're willing to give those keys to other people. Solutions exist out there like IDPAL that have zero access to data and will protect you and your family. Thank you very much.